earth was flat, I came across a sourdough recipe in a very old bread book. The rest is history. My starter came everywhere. My family and I went. We were camping, Farragut State Park in Idaho, not far from our home in Lethbridge, and we came across a little pub. The 5 of us went in. We were told the owner's wife had just had a baby, no health care, and my girls went for a dip in the lake. We borrowed towels from the pub. The young couple who owned the pub had a sourdough starter that was 80 years old, handed down from family. The next day, we drove back there with our towels that we had borrowed. And much to our dismay, the pub and the living quarters had burned to the ground in the night. All was lost, including that vintage sourdough. It was devastating. We made a little gift and we cried.
Aww. Tommy Aird owns Tommy's Whole Grain Bakery in Vancouver. He wrote to say that he liked the interview, but he had one objection. Limiting the flavor description of whole wheat flour to earthy is an injustice. Whole grain flours will always have a complex and nuanced flavor profile. It may be floral, lactic, weedy, spicy, etc. Earthy and pungent doesn't come close to describing it. It would be the same if that was how a sommelier summed up Burgundy wines. Fair enough. And then finally, Ellen Egger of Victoria wrote about a specific baking book that Daniel Leader had mentioned. She wrote, I bought my Tessajara bread book in 1970, its year of publication, when I was 16. I lived in a co-op house in Toronto in the early 70s. We put $5 a week into our food budget. Out of that came a 100-pound bag of whole wheat flour every few weeks. We took turns baking our own bread using this wonderful book. She sent pictures. It's now 54 years old, held together by packing tape for many years, with pages covered, as in all cookbooks, with cooking sticks. I still use the pancake and granola recipes.
That's lovely. Karen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Karen Marley, senior producer on The Current. Thanks for all your letters. If you hear anything on the program you want to comment on, get in touch. You can email us, thecurrent@cbc.ca. Still with bread, sort of. It is the subject of a political scandal in the United Kingdom. We are going to talk about sandwiches and how the new leader of the Conservative Party found herself in hot water, dissing lunch and sandwiches. It's coming up in 90 seconds here on The Current Stories.
It's 9:30. I'm Angelica Montgomery with your news and weather for Quebec. Montreal Police Arson Squad is investigating a fire at a West Island synagogue. It happened just before 3 o'clock this morning in the municipality of Dollard-des-Ormeaux. Police quickly extinguished the fire that had caused some damage. No one was hurt. A pedestrian in Montreal is dead after being hit by a city bus. It happened in the heart of the afternoon rush hour yesterday in Montreal North. The 69-year-old woman was crossing an intersection when she was hit. About 50 lab technicians and coordinators at the Quebec Toxicology Centre have launched a 24-hour strike today. Staff there support Quebec's Poison Control Centre, analyzing materials from hospitals across Quebec. An essential services agreement is in place. Taking a look at the weather now, a mainly cloudy day today in Montreal. Wet snow should begin this afternoon. Temperatures will remain steady near 3. Periods of light snow tonight that should end before morning, and then it will be a cloudy day. Temperatures steady near 0, cloudy night. In Quebec City, flurries this morning. Snow beginning near noon. Temperatures will be steady near +1. Tonight, periods of light snow and a low of -1. Over in Sherbrooke, chance of flurries this morning. Wet snow beginning late this afternoon with temperatures steady near 2.
Hello again, I'm Matt Galloway, and you're listening to The Current. You have probably heard an awful lot by now about the political uproar in Ottawa, but have you heard about this recent brouhaha in Britain? Conservative Party leader Kemi Badenoch did an interview with The Spectator magazine and started a bit of a bun fight. Here are people on the streets of London reading her comments aloud for a report.
Lunches for wimps. I have food brought in and I work and eat at the same time. Sometimes I'll get a steak. I'm not a sandwich person.
I don't think sandwiches are real food. It's what you have for breakfast.
And now take a listen to their reactions to her attack on the sandwich.
It's a weird hill to die on, to be honest. Look, if we could all have steak brought in, I think everyone would.
Isn't that what the women of Devon West Prada did?
They were invented here. What else is not fit?
You just had your lunch yourself.
I had a sandwich.
How was it?
It was tasty.
Tasty. Cue the reaction from her political opponents on the Labour benches.
Keir Starmer's defended sandwiches as a great British institution after Kemi Badenoch told Spectator magazine she doesn't think they're a real food. Ed Miliband, who was famously photographed eating a bacon sandwich, said she needs to discover the delights of a bacon sani.
With me now, somebody who understands the delights of all kinds of sandwiches. His name is Max Halley. He is a chef, cookbook author, and owner of Max's Sandwich Shop in London. Max, hello.
Hello, Matt. Hello.
What do you make of this attack on the sandwich by the new leader of the Conservative Party?
I just, what has the sandwich ever done to them? To be honest, I'm quite baffled by it. But I am also thoroughly entertained by it. How nice that finally our politicians are debating something of real importance.
She also said that she wouldn't eat bread if it was moist, which maybe that's a hill to die on.
That is such a weird thing to say, isn't it? And so what does that mean? So a piece of bread is okay, but a piece of bread with mayonnaise or butter or something on it is not okay? The whole thing is genuinely odd.
Keir Starmer, of course, the Prime Minister, he has to respond because this is his opposition, but also he felt that he needed to defend the good name of the sandwich. Has he done enough to do that?
I don't know. What did he say? He said that he liked his spokesperson said that he liked a tuna sandwich and occasionally a cheese toastie, which, is no bad thing, I guess, but it sounds like even Keir could make a little more effort with the stuff he puts between two bits of bread.
I mean, people here in this country eat a lot of sandwiches, I'm sure, but this is nothing quite like what happens in Britain. You eat something like 8 billion pounds worth of sandwiches each year. That's like 15 million Canadian dollars of sandwiches a year. Why are people there so crazy about a sandwich?
I think British people feel, rightly or wrongly, that the sandwich is a kind of core part of British cuisine or British food. It's like literally the go-to lunch of the country, which is what makes Kemi Badenoch's statement so odd. Why would she kind of stick herself, up in a tower? It's odd.
Also because this has been the subject, as we said earlier, of political missteps in past. Ed Miliband was caught eating a bacon sandwich, this really awkward photo. David Cameron was eating a hot dog with a knife and fork.
I mean, does this actually just tell us that the people we elect to office are just mad when it comes to their lunch?
And yet, I mean, there are many sandwiches that are mass-produced. Does she have a bit of a point? I mean, that sandwiches, you can talk about it, but it's a bit overrated, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, how dare you, man? I want you to take that back immediately. This is also a hill that I will die on.
What is the worst? I mean, and I asked this based on those kind of mass-produced sandwiches. What is the worst that you've seen that is consumed on a regular basis?
I don't know. I'm sure there are all kinds of abominations when it comes to sandwiches. For me, look, just on a completely personal basis, I think a cold slab of cheese is a horrible thing to have in a sandwich. Cheese, for me, should be melted when it's in a sandwich. So I guess I would dislike a piece of cheese between two bits of bread. Fills me with dread. But otherwise, I believe that all my children are beautiful, and the sandwich can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, you have a direct connection to this because you worked in some pretty fancy restaurants and then ended up opening up a sandwich shop. Why did you do that?
I did. So I worked in sort of jazzy Michelin-star restaurants and all that kind of business. And when I left it to open a restaurant of my own, I knew a guy who had changed the burger in Britain from a kind of sort of thing that you would get at maybe a football ground or a fish and chip shop, a kind of junk food thing, and turned it into something a bit more gastronomic. And when it came to me opening my own restaurant, which was now over 10 years ago, I looked around and I thought, what is there that has mass appeal but has been neglected and become a bit rubbish? And I realised that the sandwich was there for the taking, so I took it.
What are the elements based on that and taking to elevate the sandwich? What are the elements that make a great sandwich in your mind?
Well, I mean, for me, in terms of the sandwiches that I serve at my sandwich shop, I have a sandwich mantra, which is hot, cold, sweet, sour, crunchy, soft.
Okay, explain the mantra to us.
Yeah, so it is, I believe, in those three core contrasts that our brains find deliciousness. And what I am most concerned with is deliciousness. And the sandwich, certainly when I started 10 years ago, or the sandwich in England, was something that had become completely about convenience and not about deliciousness.
Because you go to Pret and get the cheese and onion rather than something. And
Yeah, exactly.
it's just something to fill you up.
Exactly, yeah, it's something that you can slam down at your desk without thinking about too much, and you can eat it with one hand. And so I made sandwiches that are so large and full of goodies that you'd struggle to eat them with one hand. This is a two-hand job. Yeah, so hot, cold, sweet, sour, crunchy, soft, that I think what is lacking in nearly all sandwiches is crunch. And we live in a world where people think lettuce is crunchy, which is an abomination. Lettuce is not crunchy. Lettuce is fresh. And its purpose in sandwiches, as far as I'm concerned, is to provide freshness. Now, crunch comes from deep fried things. Crisps are crunchy, or chips, as maybe you call them, are where real crunch is to be found. And so every sandwich I have ever served at my sandwich shop has had a deep fried element to it. Yeah.
Put it all together. I mean, if you roll together hot, cold, sweet, sour, crunchy, and soft?
Yeah.
What would an example of that, if I walked into the shop, be?
Literally every sandwich we've ever served has adhered to those rules. So, for example, the kind of signature sandwich of my sandwich shop is the ham, egg and chips sandwich. So, ham, egg and chips, as in fries, is the kind of classic British pub lunch. And when I opened my sandwich shop, I wanted to try and turn the sandwich into something that could be seen as a meal. And so I started with something that was already clearly a famous plate of food. So ham, egg and chips. So in my sandwich version of that, there is hot braised ham hock meat. There is piccalilli. I don't know. Do you know piccalilli?
No, what is that?
So piccalilli is a kind of halfway between